Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a deep dive into, well, New World Rising, a dystopian novel by Jennifer Wilson. You guys have sent in some excerpts and are really curious about this world,
Okay.
this post-apocalyptic world and its characters, and we're here to figure out, what makes them tick.
Let's do it.
So let's jump in.
Yeah. One of the things that really strikes me about this world is the contrast that we see.
Yep.
It's not just your average post-apocalyptic world. We have the sanctuary, right? This very advanced, technologically walled-off city representing this kind of order, this control. And then on the outside, you have Tartarus, this ravaged city, lawless, basically a breeding ground for...
Yeah, it's like this magnified clash between civilization and, like, raw survival.
Yeah, totally.
And right in the thick of it, in Tartarus, we meet our main character, Phoenix.
Yes.
So tell me about her.
Yeah, so Phoenix is a 17-year-old orphan. She is a true product of this world.
Okay.
She's skilled, she's resourceful, but she's deeply distrustful.
Makes sense.
But I think the key to understanding her is really understanding her backstory.
Okay.
So imagine this. As a child, she witnesses her parents brutally murdered by ravagers.
Oh, wow. That's horrific. So that definitely explains the guarded nature.
I mean,
it makes sense why she's relying solely on her father's survival journal.
Yeah, for guidance. And to add even another layer to this, she has no memory of the sanctuary.
Okay.
Or of her life before Tartarus.
So it's like she's trying to piece together who she is.
Exactly.
In all this chaos.
Yeah, it's like a search for identity.
Yeah.
In this chaotic world.
And speaking of chaos, let's talk about those 5 warring tribes. We've got the Adroits, the Taciturns, the Ravagers.
Right.
They all control Tartarus.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Each tribe really kind of embodies a different aspect of survival. So the Adroits are all about, strategic planning, these intricate traps. The Taciturns, they're the masters of stealth and infiltration.
Okay.
And then, of course, you have those brutal Ravagers.
Right. The brute force.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you also have the Scavengers, right?
Right.
Who are kind of opportunistic, resourceful. They're picking up whatever's left behind. And then finally you have those wraiths. They maintain control through fear and punishment.
So it's really this constant power struggle.
Constant.
Desperate fight for survival.
Yeah, totally.
And it's within this system that Phoenix, makes her first act of defiance. She ventures out during the day, risking exposure to the tribes to save a mute child.
Yes, mouse.
A mouse, yeah.
And that moment, I think, really speaks volumes about who she is.
Okay.
Because despite this, kind of hardened exterior, she chooses compassion.
Yeah.
And it's this act that leads her directly to the subversive.
Okay, now the subversive, tell me a little bit more about them, because they're former sanctuary residents, but it seems like they've turned against the system.
Yeah, very interesting group of people. And they're led by this woman named Arstid.
Okay.
And what's interesting is their motivation. They see the sanctuary as oppressive. Their goal is to overthrow the leader, the minister.
They're basically rebels.
Yeah.
In this lawless world.
Exactly.
Fighting for freedom. It's like a
rebellion within a rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to make things even more interesting, Arstid has a connection to Phoenix's parents.
Okay, so how does that play out?
Well, she reveals that Phoenix's parents, they were also sanctuary defectors.
Okay.
And it was believed that they betrayed the subversive and were killed by the tribes.
Oh, wow.
But here's the thing. Arstid doubts their guilt. And that plants these seeds of doubt in Phoenix's mind about who her parents really were.
So she's constantly questioning everything she thinks she knows.
Exactly.
And amidst all this, she encounters Tribin, her assigned guard, and, surprise, Arstid's son.
Yeah.
So tell me about him.
Yeah, so Trivin, he kind of represents a stark contrast to this harshness of Tartarus. He's kind, he's patient, he sees the good in Phoenix, despite all of her defenses.
Seems like he's a little beacon of hope in this world.
Yeah, totally.
But it can't be that easy, right?
Of course not. No. We see Phoenix's buried trauma kind of come to the surface during a training exercise.
Oh.
And she almost kills Maddox, another member of the subversive.
Oh, wow.
So it's a chilling reminder, I think, of this rage, this deep-seated rage that she's carrying.
So even with someone like Trivin, the past trauma still has a hold of her.
It does.
It makes you wonder if she can really ever escape it.
Yeah, it's the underlying tension. of the story. Can she heal? Can she forge these genuine connections while carrying all this? And then the novel throws us for a loop. They go on a raid, a successful raid of our Ravager warehouse, and they find something pretty shocking.
Okay, what is it?
Sanctuary weapons.
No way. So that kind of throws a wrench into everything we think we know about
Totally.
Sanctuary.
Like, it really hints at a much deeper conspiracy.
Yeah.
A connection that's been hidden.
Yeah.
And so the raid, it brings this feeling of belonging to Phoenix, right? Something that she really craves, but she also distrusts.
So it makes you wonder if she can ever really let her guard down.
Right.
And accept this possibility of a different life.
Exactly. And in the midst of all this, there's this rising tension between Triven and his mother, Arsted.
Oh, so there's conflict.
Yeah, a little bit of a power struggle. They have some differing opinions on how to proceed.
So even within the subversive, there's this conflict.
Yes, totally.
And then they decide to extract information from this character called the Master, former Sanctuary resident, tied to Triven's past. Yes.
And what happens there?
Well, there's a big reveal.
Okay.
Triven, like Phoenix, is also a former Sanctuary resident.
What? Okay, so that explains his idealism.
It does. It sheds light on why he is so committed to fighting for a better world. He's seen the reality of both sides.
Right.
And it really, I think, strengthens their connection. Two souls who have experienced these stark realities of these two different worlds.
Yeah.
And then we get to this scene where Phoenix is struggling, to piece together these memories. Her past, and her connection with Triven, it deepens. It really suggests that love and trust might be the key to unlocking her past.
It's interesting how there are these tender moments, even in this harsh world.
Exactly. It really highlights the power of human connection, even in the most desolate circumstances.
Yeah, it really does. But the danger never really goes away, does it?
No, it doesn't. They go back to that Ravager warehouse, and they uncover this message.
And it confirms the Sanctuary is searching for a girl.
Okay.
And Phoenix realizes that girl is Mouse, the child she rescued.
Oh, wow.
So the stakes are raised.
Yes. Oh.
And they have to escape, right? They go through these underground tunnels, frantic escape.
Yeah.
And Maddox sacrifices himself to ensure their survival.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So sad.
And they think they're home free, but no.
Oh.
They get caught. Phoenix and Mouse are captured. And she comes face to face with the minister of the Sanctuary. And there's a huge reveal.
What happens?
He reveals that he is Phoenix's grandfather.
What?
Yeah. It completely changes everything we thought we knew.
That's quite a cliffhanger.
It is. Wow, that minister's reveal really adds like a whole other
It really does.
dimension to this story, doesn't it? It's not just, this good versus evil thing anymore.
Yeah, how do you even process that? Like, the person leading this system you've been fighting against is your family.
Right. And it makes you question everything about the minister, right? Is he truly a tyrant like the subversive believe, or is there something more to it?
I'm really curious to see how Phoenix is going to react to this.
Yeah.
Will she, feel this pull toward her family, toward the Sanctuary, or will she stick with the people she's come to trust in Tartarus?
It's a tough one. It's like this classic dilemma, like blood ties versus those bonds you make through experience, especially in a world where it's hard to even know what's right and wrong.
Yeah, and that's what I think is so cool about New World Rising. It really makes you think about those big questions, like identity, trust, what it even means to belong in a world that's broken. It's not just action and dystopia, it's...
Oh, for sure. I mean, Phoenix's journey is all about that. It's like she's searching for herself while everything around her is falling apart. Jennifer Wilson really captures that tension well.
Yeah, and even with all that darkness, there's still these little glimmers of hope. You see it in Triven and how much he believes in Phoenix. Mouse's resilience, too. Even Maddox, his sacrifice.
It's true. Those little bits of humanity are so important, especially in dystopian stories. They remind us that no matter how bad things get, you can still find compassion, you can still connect with people.
And what I like is how Jennifer Wilson really flips what you'd expect from some of these characters. Like, people you think are bad actually show this depth, this courage.
Yeah, no one's totally good or totally evil. Everyone's a product of what they've been through, right? Even in a dystopia, people can change, they can grow.
That's so true. It makes it way more interesting. And the world building, oh my gosh, the way she describes the sanctuary, Tartarus, you can practically feel the grit and grime, but also the coldness of that controlled environment.
It's intentional, that contrast. It shows you the huge difference between the people in power and everyone else just struggling to get by. And then you have these characters, each one with their own reasons for doing what they do, so complex.
I know. You got these leaders like Arsted and the Master, who are so smart, almost cunning. Then you've got Triven. He's like this idealist, right? And even someone like Maddox, you don't know if he's the good guy or the bad guy.
Exactly. And then there's Phoenix, stuck right in the middle. She has to figure out this dangerous world without knowing who to trust, where she even fits in.
Her story is kind of heartbreaking, but you're still rooting for her, even when she makes these tough choices, you know? She's dealing with so much.
Her character arc is amazing. She starts as this lone wolf, only focused on surviving. But then she meets the subversive, she starts to let people in, and you can see her questioning things, opening up to the idea that maybe there's something better out there.
Yeah, it shows how powerful human connection can be, even in the craziest places. And her relationship with Triven, that's a perfect example. He sees the good in her even when she can't see it herself.
It's so sweet, but it's complicated too, right? They both have these past wounds, and it could really mess things up between them.
Oh, absolutely. And then you add Mouse to the mix, and it gets even trickier. She's like this symbol of hope, of innocence. Both Phoenix and Triven feel like they have to protect her.
Yeah, Mouse makes them think about the future, not just their own survival. Like, can they create something better for the next generation? Can they escape all the violence and pain that's been their whole lives?
Big questions, and New World Rising doesn't give you the easy answers. It keeps you guessing what Phoenix is going to do and what'll happen because of it.
Totally. It's got the plot twists, the internal struggles of these characters. It's got it all. And then that cliffhanger, the minister being Phoenix's grandfather, it's like the whole game changes.
It really does. Like suddenly the sanctuary and who's in charge, it's all up in the air.
Yeah.
And seeing Phoenix taken away by those guards, it's scary, but there's also that hint of hope.
Exactly. You don't know what's going to happen. Will she give in to all that anger, that trauma from her past? Or will the love and trust she's found with Triven and Mouth be enough to fight for a new future?
It's funny. We think of dystopian stories as all about the future, but New World Rising makes you think about the past, too.
Yeah, totally. The whole idea of memory, how it affects who we are, how we see the world, it's a big part of the book. Obviously, Phoenix losing her memory is huge.
Right.
But it goes deeper than that. Like, the Sanctuary and Tartarus, they each have their own version of history.
Well, yeah, that's true. Each one has a story about how things got this way, and those stories are used to keep things the way they are.
Exactly. The Sanctuary, they say they're this perfect place, all order and progress, and Tartarus is just a wasteland full of chaos.
But we know it's more complicated than that, right? There are secrets, betrayals, stuff they don't want anyone to know.
For sure. Like, what happened with Phoenix's parents? It makes you wonder, is the Sanctuary really this utopia they claim to be?
Not so sure anymore, huh? And that idea, rewriting history, it feels really relevant today.
Absolutely. We're always hearing different sides of the story, different versions of what happened. It's up to us to figure out what's true.
Yeah, to think for ourselves. Nobody's telling history exactly how it was. There's always a point of view.
Right. And those in power, they usually want to tell the story that benefits them.
This book really makes you question everything you hear. Dig deeper, get the whole picture. And it all ties back to Phoenix trying to find herself.
It's like her search for those memories is a search for who she is.
Without knowing where she came from, how can she know where she belongs?
It's something we can all relate to, right? Figuring out our own story, who we are, based on what we've been through.
This book also got me thinking about choices. We might feel stuck sometimes, but Phoenix shows that even in terrible situations, we still get to choose.
She has to make these impossible decisions, and they really matter. Her actions change things for everyone.
She's not just letting things happen to her, she's making her own fate.
It's a good reminder, even in dystopian stories where it seems like everything's already decided, that idea of free will, it's still there. New World Rising shows us that even when it's hard, we still have choices. And those choices, even small ones, can make a huge difference.
Like when she saved Mouse. Just that one act of kindness started this whole chain reaction that affected everybody.
It's true. We're all connected, and what we do impacts other people. Even in a world that seems set in stone, we can still do what we think is right.
That's kind of empowering, isn't it? It's like we're not just pieces being moved around. We can fight back, we can choose love over hate. you know?
Totally. And that's a message that goes beyond just this story. It's something we need to remember in our own lives, too.
So what about you listening? What really hit home for you in New World Rising? Was it the characters, how real they felt? The world itself? Or those big questions the book makes you ask?
Yeah, as you keep reading, don't forget to think critically. Don't believe everything you're told. Look for what's hidden, and remember, nothing's simple, not the people, not this world either.
That's what makes a book great. It challenges you, gets you thinking, it stays with you. And hey, maybe it even helps us understand our own world a little better.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into New World Rising.
Until next time, happy reading, everyone.